Well, several fronts keeping us on the gray side for the most part this week. We're watching some rain on weather radar. Light rain showers coming in from the west and the southwest, marching on through. Heavier rains down in Ohio tonight. 49 degrees our low. Mostly cloudy Tuesday, a high of 63. Wednesday, light showers and 61. I'm Scott Larimore at the Weather Channel on News Talk 760 WJR.
It's time for Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit. Believe in your game. Now here's the voice of the Detroit Lions, Dan Miller.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is great to have you here. Back on Lions Review. Lions coming off their first victory of the year, which in and of itself makes this show a little bit more enjoyable as I welcome in Mike O'Hara from DetroitLions.com. Michael, good evening to you.
Good evening, Dan. Good to be with you.
You know, it's winning cures everything. And I don't care where you are or what you're doing. It's winning cures everything. And that's really what the Lions are looking at in a game like this, because it doesn't mean that you're back or you're a contender or anything. It just means you hit Monday with a victory in your pocket and you got a chance to go make it another victory on Sunday. But
it certainly is a relief. You know, there's an old saying that the first pickle is the hardest one to get out of the jar. Well, they finally got the pickle out of the jar, and now they can maybe get a few more.
I like that one. The first pickle is the hardest one to get out of the jar.
You never heard that before?
I don't believe I have.
No, now you have. But, you know, I don't think Matt Patricia would admit that he's just absolutely relieved to win a game, because it means more than that. But I think he's relieved to win a game.
No, look. I
relief.
mean, bottom line, relief, no question. And bottom line, he's a human being, and he knows how this business works. And he knows that if he doesn't start winning games, you got a mandate for the most part last December, you got to win. And every coach knows if at some point you're not winning, you're not going to be there anymore. And I think he knows that this is a very important season to him. So, you know, whether he wanted to admit it or not, when you get that victory, there's got to be a moment of, you know, thank goodness. Now let's go get another one.
Yeah, he even looked a little different today in his Zoom interview. I think the team was still in Arizona, and when he did it, he had on a different hat and a nice sport coat or whatever it was, sport top. He didn't look like Matt Patricia. We barely recognized him. He said it was his new lid or something like that. I forget exactly what he said, but he looked like a guy who had a nice day at work. He really did.
Well, and I think that's the key is you did have a good day at work. You got good work out of really your whole team. And that's one thing that you'll hear from Matthew Stafford a little bit later tonight when we play the interview that we did with him. It was a complete team victory. It was a situation where they got it from offense, Mike, they got it from defense, and they got it from special teams.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. And really, they did some coaching things in this game, and they worked. One was to realign the offensive line. You only had two of the guys at their regular spot, Frank Ragnow at center, Taylor Decker at left tackle. The rest of that was rearranged. I guess Terrell Crosby at right tackle. I guess you could say he was in his spot. But that worked. The emphasis on running the ball, taking time off the clock, playing power, playing ball control, that worked. And then they get their big, one of their big guns on offense, Kenny Golladay back. And you know what? That worked too. Seven targets, 6 catches, a touchdown. Wasn't Kenny Golladay at his best, but it was Kenny Golladay, who really is pretty good, even diminished physically.
Well, and you could see where he just makes a difference, Mike. I mean, that athletic play he made to score the touchdown at the end of the first half, that's just one not a lot of guys can make. Stafford knows he can throw it up there. Kenny knows how to high point it, and then the athletic move to get it into the end zone.
And actually, and Chris Spielman pointed this out in a video on DetroitLions.com, a way he caught the ball in front of the end zone to get into the end zone. It just was really, now to me, it looks like it's, how would you be able to figure all that out in midair? But that's why they're them and we're us. They'd be able to do that kind of stuff. But it was just a terrific play all around.
Yeah, no question about it. We're talking with Mike O'Hara here, brought to you by Comerica Bank. Experience full-service banking at Comerica Bank. Learn more at ComericaBank.com. Lions get the win. They beat the Cardinals yesterday. And, look, going in, that was a Cardinal team that was favored by almost a touchdown. They had won their first 2 games of the year. That's a good football team, but they forced them to make some mistakes. And I think in particular, that defense, which had certainly heard everything that people had been saying about it, and it had not been good for 2 weeks. That defense clamped down, did a nice job, forced 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions that were a big part of that victory. And for those guys, it allows them to breathe a little bit and get ready now for another very stiff test in Drew Brees.
Right, and those guys know, even with their criticism, and they don't like it, they know what's going on. I mean, they had a bad quarter against the Chicago Bears, and then backed that up with 4 more bad ones against the Green Bay Packers. So they knew what they were coming off. And right there on the first possession, the Lions get a field goal for a 3-0 lead, and then here comes Arizona marching back, Dan, and
Yeah.
they get a pressure on the quarterback. Kyler Murray throws the ball high. Duron Harmon, bingo, gets the pick. At least staves off. At the very least, they're going to get a field goal because of the way they're driving. And it really kind of set the the tone for the game.
I think it was Jamie Collins on the pressure.
Jamie Collins, yeah, right.
It was Collins who got in his face, kind of made him not allowed to follow through, and the ball sailed on him, and the Lions were right there for the pick. And you know what? I thought you mentioned Duron Harmon. I thought really one of the kind of unseen plays of the game was after the Okudah interception, when Hopkins was just sitting there kind of looking at Okudah, never touched him because he was down, and all he had to do was touch him, and the play's over. And Duron Harmon comes up and recognizes what's going on, hits him, and allows Okudah to get up and start running. I mean, it started with Hopkins kind of being not really 100% in the play, but Harmon 100% in the play.
Absolutely. That's game awareness, ball awareness, all of that stuff. And those are little things. And, Patricia talked a little bit about that in his presser today. Little things where you don't really see statistics on them, but things like that add up. Small plays can make big results.
Yeah,
I think he called those smart plays is what he called them.
Yeah, and I think that when you take the defense in total, look, they got torched if you look at the yardage by Hopkins, but they didn't let him get over the top. They didn't let him get into the end zone. They didn't let him break off the 50-yarder to score. They tried to keep things in front of him, and you're still playing without your top 2 corners. You've got a guy playing in his second NFL game that was matched up against Hopkins most often. And, yeah, the expectations are high for Jeff Okudah, but that's a tall order for him right now to handle DeAndre Hopkins.
Absolutely. I think some of us, myself included, made the connection or the comparison between him and Lem Barney, who intercepted a pass on his first game as a pro, took it in for a touchdown. Just one thing to remember, Lem Barney had rookie camp, he had mini camp, and 6 preseason games before he played his first regular season game. So let's give the kid a chance here.
Yeah, it takes some time. There's no doubt about it. And he will be better drawing upon that experience of getting torched by DeAndre Hopkins for 130-some yards. They weren't all on him, but he will be better for every rep that he got against a great player like that.
And Dan, and at some point in his career, and hopefully for him sooner rather than later, he's going to start seeing things, and those things he sees are going to tell him, hey, I can do this. I've seen this before. I've done it before. I can do it again.
Yep, and he'll need to, because we don't know when those corners are coming back. And Coleman, I believe, has one more game that he has to be on IR. And then we are not sure when they will get Desmond Trufant back. A little bit of work for him last week, so hopefully maybe this week against Drew Brees. That would be big. But, these corners that are out there right now, Oruwariye made a nice play late in the game to break up a pass, which was a key play. He didn't commit a penalty, and he broke up the pass. That was big.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's a kid who's a 5th-round draft pick. He's 6'2", 6'1", 7'8", something like that, 208 pounds, 5th-round pick. Guys that size have gone on to become all pros and, Hall of Fame type players. I'm not saying that, but don't discount him just because he was drafted, in a mid-round or a little bit lower. He was a 5-year player at Penn State. He's really applied himself. He's a sharp guy, and he's got length.
All right, we'll come back in just a moment. You'll hear our conversation with Lions head coach Matt Patricia. A little bit later, Matthew Stafford. We're glad you're with us. This is Lions Review, going back over their win over the Cardinals. Looking ahead to their game coming up against the New Orleans Saints. We are glad you're with us. Much more of the show coming up right after this.
back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit. Believe in your game. Here's Dan Miller.
Murray takes the shotgun snap. Lions bring 4. Murray rolling right, looking, throws downfield. It's intercepted. Picked up by the Lions. That is Jeff Okudah with it to the left sideline. Inside the 40. Okudah picks up a block inside the 30 and shoved out of bounds to the 22-yard line. Jeff Okudah, welcome to Detroit, young man. That's a big-time play.
And there it was, Jeff Okudah's first interception as a member of the Lions. And that was a game that 3 picks, Mike. Your chances of winning in the National Football League are like through the roof. It's like in the 90-something percentile. And it was still a tight game. And Matthew Stafford kind of took some of that on himself because he said with the opportunities the defense presented him, he felt like they left some points out there on the field.
Yeah, too many field goals, not enough touchdowns, and then they've got to do better. And they really haven't scored an awful lot. I mean, what is it, 23, 21, 26 in their 3 games? 10 years ago, that was a lot of points. Right now, it's not. You got to get the ball in the end zone.
Now in Green Bay's averaging 40 a game right now. I mean, they're going nuts. I'll get to Patricia in just a second. You surprised the Vikings are 0-3? I didn't see that coming. I really didn't.
I picked them to win the division. I picked the Bears to be last and the Packers to be third. So the Detroit Lions, guess what's left? Second place.
Yeah, that's so powers of deduction there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really thought their defense would be better than it has been to this point. It's one of the things that we'll have to see how it develops, but it's a tough start for them right now. All right, we'll talk more about the division coming up in just a moment. Let's get to our interview with Matt Patricia. This brought to you by MGM Grand. Matt Patricia, MGM Grand, believe in your game. That's MGM Grand Detroit. I asked the head coach about just the entire organization being able to enjoy a Monday and enjoy a victory.
Yeah, no doubt. Just happy for the players, for them to be able to kind of experience that and really go through and execute the game plan, especially at the end of the game. Really thought it was a great job of just, staying focused, staying in the moment, not making it bigger than what it is, and just, going out and trying to execute when we had to.
Let me get right to that because you take over with 4:49 to go. You guys kill the clock, win the game. That's tremendous execution. You never giving the ball back and giving them a chance to do anything in that situation. That's big time stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's, stuff we talk about all the time, especially when, you have a great opponent, great quarterback, great offense on the other side of the ball. Just going out and being able to kind of control the game, with our offense and be able to go down there and obviously have the last opportunity to win. Really just outstanding job by, the players and the coaches.
And I think, too, the fact that along the way you overcome adversity, you had the long pass to Marvin, which I think would have been a touchdown had they looked at that again, but it gets called back on the hold. And your guys didn't blink. They just kept moving forward. There are times where teams will get hit by adversity and they don't recover from that. Your guys didn't.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think, again, that's just, what we've been talking about and not trying to ride the wave of the game and just stay consistent all the way through. Certainly, not perfect on our end, but, we just were able to kind of overcome it and just keep moving forward.
Did you feel like the run game that you had established against Arizona kind of kept them off balance? It seemed like they definitely had to respect that. And in the end, that was able to help Matthew find some guys down the field.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that, when in a game like that, we're obviously two teams that are very explosive on both sides of the ball. When we can run the ball and kind of do some of those things, I think it helps us, even though there's some runs out there that maybe don't look great. I still think it has an impact on the game.
Didn't take long to find out what Kenny Golladay can mean to an offense at the end of the first half, which I know you put a lot of work into and a lot of focus on. You get the touchdown to Kenny, and that's the type of play that he can make, going up high, pointing the ball, getting it, and finding his way into the end zone. That was a big moment in that game to be able to go into the locker room with some momentum. Yeah,
no doubt. And just another outstanding executed drive by the offense, taking the ball down, using the clock, and then obviously executing when they had to get the ball in the end zone. It's really a great throw by Stafford to kind of put it away from the defender, and Kenny made a great catch. So big play for us, a lot of momentum, really needed it right before the half.
One of the reasons that you were able to be there at the end to win this is we kind of shift over to the defensive side of the ball. 2 big stops in the fourth quarter to get the ball back to the offense. One of them, when they're at midfield, they're on the edge of getting into field goal range, and your guys come up with the stops. That's winning football, and that's your defense getting off the field and getting it back to the offense. That's a whole team working together.
Yeah, no doubt. And, throw special teams in there too. We had a great situation with down inside 5 and, outstanding effort by that unit to just try to, put as much pressure on the Cardinals offense as possible. And just thought everybody, stayed in the moment. No one flinched and just kind of went out and just tried to do their job.
3 takeaways. What was the difference in this game, do you think, where you were able to secure those first 2 games? They were hard to come by. It does happen in this one, and that's a huge part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just obviously capitalized on some of the, some of the opportunities we had, which was great. Usually sometimes in a game, they come up or they don't. But I thought these guys were really on it from that awareness standpoint that, there would be some plays in there that we'd be able to get. And I thought they, executed it really well.
What did you see from Jeff Okudah in this game? He had DeAndre Hopkins a lot. Hopkins had big numbers, but one thing you did not let him do was get over the top deep down the field. It seems to me that this is a game where Jeff just battled, man. You could see him every step of the way, giving his body up, trying to make plays. And in the long run, it's the kind of game that's going to make him a better player.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously you play against a great player like Hopkins, and certainly you need to, you need to be ready to go. Certainly there's a lot of areas that we can improve on, and certainly Jeff's got a long way to go, and he's just learning. It's only his second game, but definitely some things out there that were great. Obviously, it's the full defense and the complement of how everybody plays, I think, in the end that helps everyone out, especially when they're individual matchups. And just thought it was a good job of those guys just hanging in there with the game plan. Special
teams, as we just talk about them for a moment, Coach. You mentioned a moment ago, so big to be able to convert all those field goals. You know that Matt is out there. You trust him to do his job, but it's the snap, it's the hold, it's the protection, it's everything working together to get you to that point at the end, and then at the end to be able to execute and win it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I thought at the end that was one of our best protections of the day on the field goal unit. I thought everyone was dialed in, and they had some pressure earlier, but thought it was great, operation by the specialists, and then great protection and obviously a great kick. So, always rely on Prater. We know he's going to make the big ones, and just thought he did an outstanding job for us.
You mentioned your coverage units, and they were certainly there. Jack's doing a great job in terms of what he has done with the punting, but it's everybody getting downfield and making the plays, that whole thing working together. It gives you the ability to kind of control field position a little bit when you're really limiting returns the way that you are right now.
Yeah, those guys are doing a good job, but it's really all of it. Like you said, it's the protection first. We got to be able to go out and make sure we got a good, clean pocket to kick the ball from. And the guys on the outside that are running down there, I think those guys are doing a great job and just, constantly putting on pressure, on the opponent's returner to try to make plays and field the ball. I think, it's been good. We're going to obviously got a lot of challenges coming up in front of us, and there's some things that we got to get better at. But so far, that's been great.
And that's the final question I have for you, Coach. This is one that you can enjoy on a Monday, but very quickly you got to turn the page and get ready for a very good New Orleans team coming in here that finds themselves in the same position as you. They need a win to get back to 500, and they want to find a way to get that in Ford Field on Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, extremely well-coached football team. Sean Payton's outstanding head coach, and Drew Brees, he's going to be at the helm, and he's going to be ready to go, and they're going to be coming up here trying to do everything they can to win. So we got a big week in front of us. We can't really sit back on what happened yesterday. We got to go out there and do everything we can to try to beat the Saints.
All right, there he is, head coach Matt Patricia as the Lions set their sights now on the New Orleans Saints coming up on Sunday. Mike, we've talked about it, and I don't want to belabor the point, but Jack Fox. I mean, the Lions sent out a tweet today. I haven't looked at the updated numbers that said he's leading the NFL in net, which he was going into the game, and now in gross as well. I mean, this guy's just got a rocket, and he's got coverage teams out there supporting him.
Yeah, I was pretty interested in what the coach said about the coverage teams and all that. Look, he's in that game on Sunday against Arizona. He had a gross at 4 punts for 55.5 yard average and a net of 450.5. That's a half a football field, Dan. Think about that.
Yeah, has he had a punt? I mean, where he wasn't restricted by field position that has been less than 50?
No,
it's just been incredible.
And that last punt that where they drove down to tie the game, punted it down to the 2 yard line from the 45 to the down to the 2, and you could just see the coverage unit get down there and surround the ball so it couldn't be returned, and they just wobbled dead at the 2 yard line. Just a case of guys getting down there and doing their job. There is no stat for down in the punt. You don't pick up the stat sheet and see Dan Miller down punt 2-yard line. Those guys really do, kind of work in anonymity, but boy, is it important. It really
is. And you know what? And it becomes kind of a punchline or a joke that you talk about the punter and things like that. But it does allow you to at times flip the field, but certainly dictate field position, which is huge in a game like yesterday where it is tight coming down and you can pin them back in their own end late in the game.
And the opposite of that was the Lions were pinned at their 9-yard line on their last drive there. Started at the 9, went 70 yards, I think it was, to set up the winning field goal. So both sides had their chance to get off the griddle. Detroit Lions kept the Arizona Cardinals bottled up, and then on offense did just the opposite and drove for the winning score.
Yeah, I talked to Kenny Galladay after the game, and I asked him about that catch by Marvin that set him up for the field goal position where he just ran right through a tackle, and I asked him how much he loved that, and he just kind of smiled. He says, I come to expect that. But Marvin, for a guy who doesn't appear to be a big physical brute, he just runs through people, man.
And the other side of that, Dan, is that he was down the right sideline. And look, your instinct is going to take you out of bounds, but he slowed down and curled back inbounds to keep the clock running. At that time, the Cardinals had one more timeout left with 58 seconds to go. They didn't bother to call it.
Yeah, they ended the game with one timeout. It's always when you're calling the game, it's interesting. You're always expecting that timeout to come and to see whether or not they're going to call it to freeze the kicker. They didn't do it in this case, but the Lions are able to close it out. All right, we're going to take a break right here. Come back with much more. You'll hear from Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford. This is Lions Review, going back over their victory. We'll be right back after this.
I'm Pam Puso. Just one day away from the first debate between President Trump and Joe Biden, where the president could face questions about his tax returns. A published report says he's paid hardly any income tax in more than a decade.
The three authors of this New York Times report break it down even further. They write, quote, he had paid no income taxes at all in 10 of the previous 15 years, largely because he reported losing much more money than he made. Now, the president has long refused to release his tax returns. He says it's because he's under audit.
Fox's Mark Meredith. Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett will start meeting with senators tomorrow. Many Democrats are opting out.
Judge Barrett has a long record of opposing abortion and reproductive rights.
Vice presidential candidate and Senator Kamala Harris hasn't said if she'll meet with Barrett. America's listening to Fox News.
I-75 northbound between Big Beaver and Crooks. All northbound lanes closed due to police activity within the construction zone. Avoid the area. 75 southbound at the Davison, an accident. The left lane blocked. I-94 westbound after 8 Mile Road. There is an accident. Only the left lane open. I'm Peggy Hodge, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Well, several fronts keeping us on the gray side for the most part this week. We're watching some rain on weather radar. Light rain showers coming in from the west and the southwest, marching on through. Heavier rains down in Ohio tonight. 49 degrees our low. Mostly cloudy Tuesday, a high of 63. Wednesday, light showers and 61. I'm Scott Larimore at the Weather Channel on News Talk 760 WJR.
to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit. Believe in your game. Here's Dan Miller.
39-yard attempt. Hash mark left side. Lions trying to pick up the victory. Prater's ready. Muehlbach to snap. There it is. Fox the spot. Kick away. It is up. Sir. And it is good. And the Lions have won it. Sir. The Lions have gone to the desert and picked up victory number 1. Matt Prater sends it through from 39 yards out. And the Lions can dance in the middle of the field. This one is over. Detroit gets it by a score of 26-23. All together now. Exhale. Exhale.
Yes.
That felt like it was a long time coming.
And it was, as we're here to talk about it on Lions Review. Lions get the victory. Mike O'Hara alongside. Michael, it had been 11 months since they had won a game. That's a long time in any sport.
Trying to think about Matthew Stafford too. He missed a half of that season. Yeah. It was torture for him. It really was.
Yeah, and it was for all those players. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people can be angry, and people can look at this franchise and be disenchanted because they don't have the success that anybody's looking for. But just understand, and I'm just telling you this because it's fact, those guys are working their tails off. And I know you want results and you deserve results, but just for those players that are doing that, to finally get something tangible out of it means a lot, because whether you believe in what they're doing or they're capable of doing it or not, they're still leaving their blood, sweat, and tears out there. And when you get nothing to show for it for almost a year, for a lot of guys that have been here for that length of time, it's really, really hard. That's how you measure yourself professionally. And when you're not winning, it's difficult.
Somebody once described to me boxing as a hard way to make easy money. And I think most professional sports really deep down are like that. Look, it's great to be a pro baseball player, whatever, basketball, hockey, football, but it's a tough gig. And I think football is the toughest one of all, because you play 16 games and all that focus goes on it, and all that work, all that training, all that hitting, it really grinds at you over time. And if you don't win, you lose consistently, it's even harder. So I've never questioned the effort or the commitment or the resolve of these players. The results, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, and you can look at those things separately. You can look at the success of the team, but also understand for the guys that are there and going out to play, they're doing the best they can in the situation that they've been put in. They can't control roster makeup. They can't control coaching. All they can control is the effort they put in. And Mike, I don't care what year you go back to, if it's 2008 or anything else, the effort was there. I mean, in 2008, when they went 0-16, the coaches were still working 80-hour weeks. The players were still grinding it out in practice every single day. I mean, it's hard. And when you're not winning, it's even harder. And 2008 was no different. The guys in 2008 worked just as hard as the team that won the Super Bowl that year. They just weren't as good.
No, absolutely. Rod Marinelli, the coach, said, I think we all had a lot of respect and liked Rod Marinelli, liked his commitment and his desire. But after they lost the 16th game in Green Bay, he came in the next day, Monday morning, knowing he was going to get fired, and looked at the video, looked at the tape, just like he always did. He worked right to the last minute that he was the head coach of the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our conversation with Matthew Stafford. This brought to you by the Henry Ford Health System, the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions. I had a chance to talk to Matthew after the game, and the first thing we talked about was something we discussed on this show already, was that they put it all together. This was offense chipping in, defense chipping in, special teams chipping in.
Yeah, it was great. Obviously a great team win. I mean, you look at how our defense played, getting 3 turnovers. Special teams coming up huge there at the end of the game, obviously winning it for us, and offense doing just enough. I think we left some points out there in the red zone, but it's a great team win. Like you said, I mean, starting the year 0-2, not the way we wanted to start it, and had opportunities in those games to kind of take control or win them. And didn't get it done, so it's nice to get it done today.
How about taking over the ball on that final drive with 4:49 to go, and you don't give it back, and you set up the game-winning field goal? I mean, that's big-time stuff where you don't even give them the opportunity to come back at it. You just put it away. That's how you draw it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want to be about. I've been doing this a long time and love those situations. I love having the ball in my hand at the end of the game, and I know the guys on our offense have a ton of confidence in that, and So it was a great way to end the game. A little bit of run, a little bit of pass, a little bit of everything, and then obviously Prater came out and did his thing.
It looked like a little bit of run that you're talking about had them respecting that, and especially late, it looked like that kind of opened up your passing game for you a little bit.
Yeah, it did. They got aggressive there late in the game, sent some pressures, and our guys did a great job of making them pay when they caught the ball in the back end, and then we were able to run the ball good enough today to where the play action game was big. They kind of called back the one huge one to Marvin Hall. That was a play action pass. There were quite a few in the game that were successful for us. But like I said, still points left out there in the red zone. We got to be better putting it in, especially when our defense gives us short fields.
You mentioned that play to Marvin. By the way, I think if they'd have looked at that, it would have been a touchdown, but it got called back. But here's the thing, Matthew. There have been times this year where something has gone wrong, and then you guys weren't able to recover. That's a big-time blow when that gets called back like that. All of a sudden, you're behind the down sticks, but you guys didn't blink, and that's a big part of the story today.
Yeah, no question. We preach it all the time. We talk about it. We work to make sure that when those things happen, we just got to play the next play. I think I got in the huddle right after that and said, "Hey guys, we got 2 plays to get a first." You know what I mean? It was second and whatever it was, probably 15, 18, something like that, and tried to get it back. Obviously, they gave it back to us with a penalty on the next one, but that was our mindset. Hey, we got to get a first down. We got 2 plays to do it. Let's try to make it happen.
So basically, you've had these Jesse James plays in your pocket. You've just been holding them for the right time.
Yeah, he should have had another one. Shoot, I missed him in the back corner of the end zone on one. So I was happy for him. I was happy for everybody. You look at the stat sheet, and everybody's involved. Everybody's got their hand on the football, making plays. All 3 backs today, all the receivers. It was really a nice day.
And you look at it, Matthew. Here's how you close. You'd been outscored badly in the fourth quarter before this game. Defense does not allow them a point. They come up with 2 big stops on the last 2 drives by Arizona. Get the ball back to you. That's team football.
Yeah, no question. Our defense played outstanding today. That's a heck of an offense they're going up against. And I was just proud of them, man, to get those turnovers. They were huge plays for us in the game. We got to make them count a little bit better on our end to make that thing not as close as it was. But a win's a win. It's hard to win in the National Football League, especially against a good team at their place. So proud of our guys for getting it done.
Final thing, just makes going back to work a little bit easier, but that's exactly what you have to do is get back to work. Yeah,
absolutely. Got a huge challenge in front of us. New Orleans is a really good football team. Obviously, they play Sunday Night Football, so we'll take a peek at that. And then, it's on to the next one, and they're going to get our attention really quickly. Obviously, a team that's been deep in the playoffs the last couple of years and playing at a high level.
All right, there is Matthew Stafford coming off the win against the Arizona Cardinals yesterday, looking ahead to New Orleans as well. And Mike O'Hara, I would imagine that had to be somewhat impactful for you, seeing Jesse James make those plays. That was one of the longest interviews of your career when you had a chance to talk to Jesse James in the locker room.
It was just before the last game, I think, last year, and I kept bugging. They finally set it up for me at his locker. 1 minute and 18 seconds. And about a minute and 14, when he hadn't said a word in 20 seconds, I said to him, "Are we done?" And he paused, and he paused, and he paused some more, and he said, "Yeah, we're done." And I saw him do a couple of interviews in the last couple of weeks, and I laughed both times. I really did.
Did they last longer than yours?
Oh, yeah, way longer, especially the one today. Yeah, we're done.
Just to be clear, you didn't ask him anything that offended him. He's just not a big.
No, he didn't want to talk, and he was very, very unhappy with the way the season went last year.
Yeah, no, understandable. He did talk after yesterday's game, yep, where he was a little more involved, but I don't think it's what he had in mind when he came here. I don't think it's what they had in mind. But you saw yesterday that he can be a part of this offense and he can be a weapon. That's a big dude, man. He helps him out with the blocking, and yesterday when they needed him down in the red zone, he's a nice target for Matthew Stafford. Maybe we'll see more of that going forward.
And like he said on the Zoom interview today, he kind of faked the block there, and they just assumed he was going to block, took off for the end zone, and he was wide open.
Where'd this guy come from? We didn't see him on the tape. He's the guy who caught 30-some passes in Pittsburgh, so he's capable of doing that. There was some interesting snap count stuff yesterday. We didn't see DeAndre Swift for quite a while in this game. Then he did get some snaps, but it's interesting to kind of see how this running back rotation, and maybe it'll be a week-to-week thing. Most things with Matt Patricia are. It's whatever the week presents, but we didn't see him for quite a while in that game.
No, and it was running back by committee, and Adrian Peterson was the chairman of the committee.
Yes.
I think he got 40 snaps, and Kerryon Johnson got 18 or 19 or 20, and then just dribs and drabs for DeAndre Swift. But he did have the one nice catch. Was it 16 yards, 19 yards, something like that? I think he's really a good smooth ball player, and I think he's going to be a good player for the Detroit Lions.
Doesn't help, though, when you have a blitz on your quarterback and you're the hot receiver and the quarterback throws and you don't turn your head around and the quarterback hits you right between the 3 and the 2. That had a chance to be a big play, and Swift just wasn't tuned into what was going on.
And it also can bounce off your shoulder pads and be a big play going the other way. You've got to be tuned into what's going on every single play. No excuses.
All right, we'll take a break. Closing segment coming up. We got Mike's call of the game on the other side, so stick around for that. We're glad you're with us. Lions coming off a victory, getting set now for the Saints at Ford Field. We're getting set for it, too. You'll hear it right here on WJR coming up on Sunday. We'll take a break, come right back, more after this.
Matthews got it.
back to more Lions Review. Presented by MGM Grand Detroit. Believe in your game. Here's Dan Miller.
Matthews got it, four-man rush. Matthews looks, throws, middle of the field, caught.
Yes.
Galladay, touchdown, Detroit Lions. Oh, baby, great to see number 19 back. He went up high and hauled it in. 15 yards on the strike, and the Lions are back on top.
And let's start with a little protection for Matthew Stafford. I think the big guys up front did a great job of giving him time to go up, giving him time and giving the receivers time to go and complete their routes. Kenny Galladay just went up, high pointed the ball. Nice job by Kenny Galladay, and boy, did we miss him being out there.
You think he makes a difference?
Oh, yes, he does.
Well, a guy led the NFL in touchdown receptions last year, so he certainly makes a difference being in there. Final moments of this edition of Lions Review. Call to the game, sponsored by Ring Central, official partner of the Detroit Lions. Ring Central, message, video, phone together. Mike, this is where I say, hey, Mike, what's the call to the game? And you say you just heard it?
I just heard it. The call of the game was you and Lomas Brown doing it. But no, it really was a big play, and it was nice. It was really a nice play design too. Got Kenny wide open. Or not, I shouldn't say wide open, but open over the center of the field, middle of the field, and just like you said, high pointed the ball, out jumped everybody, came down with the ball for the touchdown, and really gave him some momentum going into the second half. Made it 17-13 going into the second half, and really that game was back and forth the whole way. Really.
Here's the great thing about Kenny. He doesn't have to be open. He just Stafford knows where to put it to throw him open, and he's got such great body control and can be such a mismatch for smaller corners that he doesn't have to have a step on anybody. He's got such a big catch radius, even when he is draped.
Absolutely. That's a good point by you. And look, he's 6'4", 218, 214, something like that. I looked at his combine time again just before the start of the show, and he ran a nice 4.50 40. That's a good time for a guy that size. Yeah. And I think his time is held up. I don't think that was just a combine time. I think that's a play time too. And he good vertical jump, all that stuff you look for. Look, that was a steal in the third round. I mean, an absolute steal.
Hey, where does this offense get better? Because as you said, it's been okay, but there's more out there. They can score some more points, and they're going to have to down the line.
Well, I think a little more explosion in the run game would help. And look, I like what they do. I like a running game. Adrian Peterson, if he quit right now, he's earned the money they paid him. They've gotten more out of him than anybody could have expected. At least that's my opinion. He's really been an asset just on and off the field. That guy is a pro. He loves the game. But really sustained drives, I think, not get into those lapses where you score, a couple of touchdowns in the first quarter and then don't score again until the fourth quarter like they did in Green Bay a couple of games ago. That type of thing. They're too good for that. They have too many good, talented players on offense for that to happen.
What'd you see from the defense that you feel like needs to carry forward to New Orleans? Because, look, people have made a lot about the fact that Breeze isn't throwing the ball down the field, but he still throws it. He throws it short, and he throws it accurately.
Well, he sure does, but he's not the same player, and that changes. That changes their offense, and it's just different when you can't get the ball down the field. Look, I don't know if they're going to be able to rush the passer all year, but you can still cause turnovers, especially against a short quarterback like they did against Kyler Murray. Get your hands up. Clog up the passing lanes, make them look for passing lanes, things like that. Don't just let them go, drop, pat, throw, drop, pat, throw, drop, pat the ball and throw. Get them off his spot. They're going to have to find a way to do it. That's what coaching's about. And I think they found a way on Sunday in the desert. Maybe they can do it this Sunday in Detroit.
I asked this question last night on my Sunday night show. I'm going to ask you the same thing. Does home field advantage matter anymore? Is there any difference when you're playing at home now, or is that just gone for the teams that don't have anybody in the stands?
You know what I think it is? I think the advantage is you don't have to travel, but in terms of the surroundings, I guess they're all about the same now. I don't know who, somebody said that I think it was Matt Patricia said it on his Zoom today, that they did a really good job, I think, in was it Arizona?
They had a little bit of ambiance in there.
Right, they had some ambiance. Yeah. Do it at Ford Field. Look, push them to the limit. Push them as far as you can.
All right, Michael, good stuff. We appreciate it. We got to get out of here. Thanks for making us a part of your evening. See you again next week on Lions Review.